Hello everyone. Today I'm sharing with you how to maintain a consistent style in outsourced design. Establish a visual baseline before starting work. This is a problem many businesses inevitably encounter when they outsource more and more projects, but their web pages become increasingly disjointed. Because the reality is often, individual images look okay, but when put together, they look disjointed. Different batches look like different stores. You might think it's due to inconsistent designers, but the truth is, it's not that the designers are incompetent, it's that you didn't establish a consistent starting line from the beginning. First, the conclusion. A consistent style isn't about shared aesthetics, but about establishing a visual baseline. Many people understand a consistent style as hiring the same designer, making multiple revisions, slowly refining it, but in an outsourcing context, this is almost impossible to sustain in the long run. There's only one truly controllable and replicable approach. Before starting work, define the things that cannot be changed. This unchangeable element is the visual baseline. 2. What is a visual baseline? In short, a visual baseline is not a design draft, nor is it the complete visual identity, VI. It is the minimum consistency standard that all designs must adhere to. You can understand it as not pursuing maximum aesthetics, but ensuring it stays on track and not changing due to personal preferences. Third, why does outsourcing inevitably become increasingly chaotic without a visual baseline? Because every time outsourcing occurs, these three things happen. 1. Different people have different aesthetic judgments. 2. Different projects have different temporary feelings. 3. Every revision subtly changes the style. The result is, no one makes a mistake, but the overall style will definitely not resemble a coherent system. A chaotic style is essentially a lack of constraints, IV. A minimum viable visual baseline, only 5 components. You don't need a thick manual. Just define these 5 points clearly, and the consistency of your outsourcing will immediately improve. 1 primary color, plus secondary color range, not random changes. It's not about just leaning towards blue. Instead, clearly define. What is the primary color? What is the maximum number of secondary colors? Which colors are prohibited? Without a defined color scheme, consistency will never be achieved. 2. Font and hierarchy rules, more important than you think. At least define what type of font will be used for headings. What is the font size range for body text? How will emphasized information be handled? A messy font will immediately make the page look cluttered and unsophisticated. 3. Information density baseline determines noise or clutter. You need to define approximately how much information should be displayed on one screen. Is it more restrained or dense? Without this standard, different designers will use completely different rhythms. 4. Image and element style. Avoid a hodgepodge of materials. At least clearly define, realistic or illustration-oriented. Is 3D icon style allowed? Can online materials be used? Without controlling the style of materials, even the best layout cannot save the day. 5. List of prohibited items, very crucial. For example, do not use a certain type of font, do not use a certain gradient, do not use a certain composition. Maintaining a consistent style often relies on what not to use. V. When is it most cost-effective to establish a visual baseline? The answer is before the first outsourcing project. Once you have created 10 sets of images, revised by 3 designers, adding a visual baseline will be extremely costly. 6. How to utilize a visual baseline before outsourcing begins? Here's what you can do. Step 1. Confirm the baseline first, no creative discussion. Make it clear first. In this design, all judgments must prioritize conforming to the visual baseline. No matter how good the creative idea, if it crosses the line, it's useless. Step 2. Use the baseline for acceptance, not feelings. When revising, don't say, "I feel something's wrong." Instead, say, "This title color exceeds the range defined in the baseline." Once you return to the rules, disputes will immediately decrease. Step 3. The baseline can be upgraded but not arbitrarily broken. You can regularly optimize the baseline. Make minor adjustments as needed, but you cannot change the style temporarily for every project. Otherwise, the baseline will become invalid. 7. A common mistake businesses make: treating the visual baseline as a restriction on creativity. But in reality, it protects your established style assets. Without a baseline, every design iteration is a fresh start. A word of truth for those who find themselves increasingly disorganized despite doing more and more outsourcing. A consistent style isn't a matter of designer skill, but a management issue. When you start using rules, baselines, constraints instead of feelings, ad hoc judgments outsourcing design will truly transform from playing the lottery into a replicable, scalable, long-term capability. In short, to maintain a consistent style in outsourcing design long-term, don't start working on it immediately. Do one thing first: clearly define the visual baseline. When all designs start from the same point, the style won't be chaotic. When judgment is based on rules, collaboration won't be exhausting. This is the prerequisite for an outsourcing system to truly run smoothly and sustainably.